Okay, so this is going to be a different kind of review. I just saw this movie for the first time, and I have Ian here with me because you've actually seen this movie before.
Yeah.
Now, I originally thought that when I asked you if you'd seen this movie before, and you said yes, I thought you meant you had seen it when you were a kid. Because I didn't see this movie for the first time in its entirety until a few days ago. And I'm just going to say right now, this movie was so good, I was this close to bringing back A.B. in the Films. Like, that's how good I thought this movie was. So I want to hear your thoughts on it because you saw it before I did. So you tell me what you thought of this.
Well, I mean, when I first saw it a few years back, I kind of did like the character, like the creatures that were used in a film, like like how a lot of '80s films are. So that's sort of what I like about all the '80s films, all the old school films. Like they have those Muppet-like creatures.
Yeah, one of the things I want to know is with Falcor, is that an animatronic or a Muppet? Like I wonder like what that was.
It's considered a Muppet.
It's considered a Muppet. Okay, like did Jim Henson's team work on this movie?
I'm not quite sure.
I wonder if they did. I know his company worked on the sequels.
Yeah.
I know that.
Oh, yeah.
But the first one, I don't know if he did or not. But so anyway, I'm going to talk about this movie because there's just so much to talk about and how awesome this film is. And I didn't even grow up with this movie because everybody that I've ever heard say how much they love this movie, I always looked at it as, they're looking at it from a nostalgic point of view because they saw it when they were a kid. Kind of like how I look at the first Shrek movie. Like, the first Shrek movie, it's a really good movie, but, adults now who were kids then that grew up with it, it's like on a whole other level. And certain adults that watch it, they're like, it's good, but, it's not like what you guys are making it out to be. And I thought that was the same with this movie. So, I actually I have an interesting story with this film. The first time I saw it, I didn't even know I was watching it. So I was 6 years old. It was 1999, and I'll never forget this. I'm flipping through the TV, and there's this scene that comes on. Now, you have to remember, this is 1999, so you didn't have the TV guide on the TV. You had to look through the book to see what it is you were watching. And I will never forget, I'm flipping through the TV at night, and this scene comes on, and it's the scene where Atreyu meets Gamork for the first time, and he's talking to him in that cave. Mm-hmm. Now, when you're 6 years old and you're watching that scene, I'm like, what is this movie? That gave me nightmares, that scene. I had no idea what I was watching, but I will never forget that scene. Didn't remember what they were talking about. I just remember, I only had it on for like a minute, but I remember thinking, why doesn't this wolf just kill this kid? Why is he talking to him? Because the way it's shot, you would think like he would just go after and kill him. But there's a reason why he doesn't, which when you watch the movie, you understand. And then years later, when I was in high school, I was really into the Nostalgia Critic, and he reviewed NeverEnding Story 3. And the thing is, I actually had Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves on video cassette. There was a trailer for NeverEnding Story 3 on there, and that trailer tries to make the movie look like kind of like a good movie, and it's terrible.
Yeah.
And so I had heard of NeverEnding Story when I was a kid. Like, it was around, but I never watched it. So finally, when he reviewed NeverEnding Story 3 and he reviewed the second one, he said they were terrible. He kept glorifying the first film. And NeverEnding Story has made a way through a lot of early Nostalgia Critic episodes. It keeps coming back into a lot of reviews because it's a great film, and it's a film that he grew up with when he was younger. And I thought, you know what, let me watch a few clips. And one of the clips I found was that scene when Atreyu meets Gamork, and I'm like, oh, that's what that's from. I remember this scene when I was a kid. Didn't know I was watching the movie, but I never saw the movie. I was just watching like a clip here and there, like maybe one of the Rockbiter, they look like big, good, strong hands. Everybody remembers that. And also the scene with Artax. Every child was traumatized during that scene. I frankly am not, because I just saw this movie for the first time as a 32-year-old man. But I have to say, so earlier this week, nothing to do, killing time. I'm looking through the TV and I'm like, you know what? I never saw NeverEnding Story. Let me watch it. And I watched it. Oh my gosh, this movie was so good. This was so, like, and you know, like, never mind all the sets, which, this is 1984, so there's no CGI in this. Like, you believe Fantasia is real when you see this. And yeah, I know some of the effects obviously look fake. Like when Atreyu's flying on Falcor, it's so obviously a green screen. But it doesn't matter because it's such a good movie because the characters are so good. And what this movie is trying to get across is so good in such a genius way. You would never see this in a kid's movie today, let alone a movie. But, like, okay, forget all of the technological advances in the film, all the practical effects, the writing, the story, the directing, forget all that. My first question is, where in the world did they find these kid actors? Where did they find these kids? These kids can act. Like, this is, like, I couldn't believe, like, okay, like, the kid who plays Bastion, I would say, he's okay, I would say, but the kid who plays Atreyu and the girl who plays the childlike Empress, yeah. I mean, like, I was trying to, like, okay, that scene, I want to know, the girl who plays the childlike Empress, she's only in the movie for, like, I think 7 minutes, not even 10 minutes, and her performance is one of the most memorable things in the whole film. I really would love to know where they found these kids, and I looked her up, actually, because I was so moved by her performance, and the kid who plays Atreyu, and also Bastion as well. I'm like, did these kids do anything else after this movie? And I looked them up. Actually, they really didn't. I mean, the kid who played Bastion, I think he went off to do, there was one, Cocoon. He went off to do Cocoon, I think, in 1985. But all the other actors, like, they didn't really do much after this, especially the girl. And I think right after this movie came out, she went to be a professional dancer or something. But I was just, what really blew me away with this movie, and again, it's one of those, I watched it twice, okay? And it's one of those films that when you watch it a second time, you pick up on stuff you didn't pick up on before. And I love movies that do that. I really love movies that do that. Like The Shining does that. Actually, a lot of Kubrick movies do that. But, you know, you get the point. But what I'm trying to say here is that, okay, so when I first started this movie, my first thought was, okay, yeah, a lot of kids who grew up in the 80s, who saw this when they were kids, they love it because they saw it when they were kids, and it's generated for kids, this movie. And it has practical effects in it. It's going to feel very 80s at times, which I love, even though I'm from the 90s. And it's going to be a story where this kid gets lost in this fantasy world. He's the chosen one. He's the only one that can save him. We've seen this story a million times. I mean, basically, it comes from the Bible, essentially, really. That's where it comes from. But I'm just thinking, like, if this movie were being made today, not only would it be CGI, but they would have, I want to say they probably would have Bastion, like, get sucked into the book, literally, and he would be with Atreyu while on the journey, and that doesn't happen. And I thought that's what was going to happen. Like, he's just reading the story just as we're watching the movie, but what the movie does is that it takes the audience, like, again, this is so ingenious what Wolfgang Petersen was doing. Wolfgang Petersen, the director, he got the audience included in the film. Because the whole movie, we're just sitting here watching this movie, and the childlike Empress tells Atreyu, no, you did bring the Earth Child with you. He was with you the whole time. Which, we already knew that, because again, he's reading the book the whole time. But then she says, and there's others that know his story too. And they were with him when he took the book, when he has the Orient. And I'm like, is she talking about us? Oh my gosh, that's brilliant. But again, they don't turn to the camera, they don't acknowledge the audience, they don't do that. She just says that because you're so invested in this movie, because these characters are great, this story is great. The whole movie is basically just depression and sadness and hopelessness, and that's the nothing. That's what it is, because it's not, it's not a villain. And I honestly thought Gamork was going to be the villain. Because it sounds like, even though he says he's the servant that serves the Nothing, how many fantasy films have we seen where it's just a main villain and they always say, I will get rid of the protagonist and then I will take over the world? The Nothing doesn't do that. The Nothing wipes out everything. It doesn't matter. And it's not really a villain doing it for its own need. The reason why it's happening is because children, particularly children, at least what the movie is trying to say, is that they don't read enough. Because the bookkeeper who has the book, that was one of the main points he was getting across to Bastion. It's like, no, it's like all the kids are desensitized by TV and video games. Like, nobody has imagination anymore. And that's what fuels Fantasia. And because of that, when you get to be an adult, you're going to lose that imagination, as what his father was telling him. And the scene when Bastion talks to his father at the beginning, and I thought this was going to be like a whole... Because, again, the movie starts off with Bastion, we find out his mother passed away, he's going through a lot of trauma with that, and he talks to his father. And his father doesn't really help him either. I mean, his father's lost all hope, obviously. He lost his wife. But his dad is telling him, you're not handing in your homework on time, you don't have any friends, you stay in your room all the time, you need to get your head out of these books and get out in the real world where there's hopelessness and despair and sadness. And, I mean, Bastion's already sad enough. Like, he lost his mother. So that doesn't help him. And then finally, he's being chased, he has problems with bullies and all that. And then he finds the book. And by the way, this technically doesn't make sense. There's a couple things in this movie that don't make any sense, but it doesn't matter. It's a good movie. You don't care. Like, I think he takes the book and he goes up into the attic in his school and he's just there the whole time. Like, even in the middle of a thunderstorm, mind you. Like, it's the middle of the night, he's still in the school reading this book. Like, what? That makes no sense. But again, doesn't matter. So... Finally, he goes so he's reading this book, The NeverEnding Story, and it's, we go into the world of Fantasia, we meet the Rockbiter, we meet Falkor, we meet the gnomes that are there, we see all this kind of cool stuff, and then we meet Atreyu, and he's so it turns out that Fantasia is dying. I mean, you guys know the plot, but if you haven't, Fantasia's dying. There's a warrior that can help save Fantasia, and it's Atreyu. And he has to go and find a cure for the childlike empress because she's dying. Because she's the one that can stop all of this. All the creatures in Fantasia feel. But there's layers to this that they don't know. So Atreyu goes on his quest, and it's funny, when they get Atreyu to go on the quest, I immediately thought of Shrek. What kind of quest? Like, again, how many times have we seen this in a movie? But he goes off, and he comes across all these characters on his journey, and this movie is nothing but sadness and depression, man. Have you noticed that?
I think so.
When you see the movie? I mean, it just... Because the Nothing just takes over everything in this film. And, like, I gotta tell you, this movie... Like, it's only an hour and 34 minutes. I wish it was longer. I can't remember the last time I saw a movie that was this good that I wanted it to be longer. Like 10, maybe 15 minutes longer would have been good. And then he meets Falkor. I gotta ask you about Falkor. When it comes to that practical effect, what did you think of that? Like, what were your thoughts on that? Because you liked some of the animatronic puppets that are in this movie. Yeah. Like, do you want to elaborate on that? Because you saw this movie a little while ago. I mean,
yeah.
What did you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, like, when he was, like, this kind of like a green screen effect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it was definitely a green screen effect, which I like. But one of the great things about this, okay, was not just the last 10 minutes. Because as we go forward through Fantasia, we find out that the Nothing is just caving over everything. And it's not doing that for its evil purposes. Again, that's so refreshing because we've seen, how many kids' movies have we seen, or family films, I should say, because it's really a family film, where we've seen a villain just take over the world and you have the hero who's going to save everybody. And yeah, it's in this, but it's done in a way that almost feels realistic. like almost like spiritually realistic in some way, and it's a fantasy. But I love that scene. Like, again, there's so many scenes I love in this movie, but the one scene I love is when Bastian realizes who he is, what he has to do, and in the meantime, we as the audience, we're sitting there going, just do the thing already, just say it. And but I was just so moved by the fact that, because there's so much drama going on in just a few minutes when the Empress reveals everything that has to happen. Like, because she's going to disappear in a couple of seconds unless Bastian does what he's supposed to do. But he's having a hard time doing what he's supposed to do to make this better because of the world around him, because the nothing has basically infiltrated him. Because he's surrounded by depression, because of the loss of his mother, because of his father, because he has no friends, because of the bullying problems he has. And he has to overcome it just by saying this one name. And it's hard for him. And one of the great things about it is, and this is something I can relate to, especially going with something personal in my life, and you would think a family movie speaks to a 32-year-old man. Again, I wasn't expecting this from this movie. I was just expecting an 80s kids film. I was hoping to walk out of this thinking, it was okay. But, guys, this close to A.B. and the Film's coming back. This close, okay? I guess it kind of has already, because we're sitting here talking about it. But anyway, the only thing that was left was that one grain of sand. And Fantasia's gone. And she tells him, no, it's not gone. It's within you. You can dream it. You can bring it back, and you can bring it back better than it was. And he does. Now, that's relatable. Not just with me, but I'm sure that can be relatable to anybody else that's gone through loss, sadness, depression. And you can pull yourself out of it. And this movie does it so geniusly well. Like, that is ingenious storytelling, genius filmmaking. It really ticks me off that the sequels are crap, because the movie kind of ends on a cliffhanger. Like, the announcer says, Bastian had many more adventures, but that's another story. And you're like, I want to see what happens next. And then you realize, oh, part 2 sucked. Different cast. And they don't even do that. It's like, oh man, it's such a shame, because this movie was just so good. Oh man, I don't even know what else to say about it. Like, if you haven't seen this movie, go watch it. It's so good. I love this movie. I actually bought it on DVD. I'm going to be watching it many more times. Like, I loved this movie a lot more than I thought I was. I think this is one of my favorite films now. Ian, what do you got to say?
Yeah, I mean, it does sound like a very interesting film. I mean, even though I saw it just a few years back.
Yeah.
I mean, I might have to check it out sometime again now too.
Yeah, I mean, like, one of the things about this movie, and I'll end on this. One of the great things about this film is that if this is what this movie can do to a 32-year-old man who did not grow up with this movie, who just saw it for the first time, I can only imagine what this movie does to all the adults now who were the children then that grew up with this movie. It probably is a lot stronger now. And it really, it's got a lot of adult themes in this. I mean, for a kid's film, it's got a lot of adult themes in it, but it's not watered down. It doesn't feel manipulated. It doesn't feel forced. It doesn't feel like, oh, we have to have this in with the plot in order to make the story work. No, it feels organic. It's well-paced. You believe everything that's going on. You want these characters to come out great, and you want it so much because it's so strong. Again, like I've said before, I wish this movie was longer. I really wish it was. I can't remember the last time I thought that way about a movie, let alone one of the main characters who's only in the movie for less than 10 minutes, and she had one of the best moments in the entire film. I mean, I can't think of another performance that was like that. And this is an 11-year-old. I mean, that's unbelievable. Oh my gosh, this movie's just so good. So anyway, I've gone on long enough. If you guys haven't seen this movie yet, check it out. And if you have seen this movie, you know exactly how I feel. You know what I'm talking about, because we both agree here. This is one of the best films, not only of the 80s, but I think in general. Like, this is well done storytelling. So those are my thoughts on NeverEnding Story. Ian, you got any final thoughts to say?
Not really.
Yeah, so he loves this movie too.
Yeah.
And you heard, I mean, you said you're even thinking about checking it out again. Yeah, so this was really good. Yeah, great movie. See you guys.
Yeah.